All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this very serious and solemn stream where we will seek to analyze one of the greatest works of fiction of all time, Orphan Tears 2 by the incomparable, the genius, the 5'5", Ray William Johnson. Let's begin our musical journey together, my friends, and seek to unlock the hidden mechanisms of this mastermind. We start with Drops of Color, representing the emotion being poured into this soulless world by the genius that is Ray William Johnson, his band Your Favorite Martian, and the song Orphan Tears 2.
And we're back to the disco, back.
Immediately, we're serenaded by Ray's voice that has been matched by nobody, often compared to the likes of David Bowie, Bruce Springsteen, and Lin-Manuel Miranda, all crushed into one, with a little bit of logic influencing it. And here we have the new designs of the characters of DJ on the right, Ray in the middle, and another one.
Back to the music, back to the flashing lights. Went straight to the bar like, hey, let me get a round of Orphan Tears on Ice. I only took one sip and it's kicking in. I said, hey, Rax, can you help me? It's kind of funny, everybody calls you Rax.
So if you look at the design on the bottle, it's the same as actually the old one back in the original release of this song.
My left hand turned to Scooby-Doo. I got chased around by a Gucci shoe. I heard an explosion behind me. I didn't look back like the people in the movies do. I saw a gang of tiny he-men.
Let's unpack what just happened. So we have a gang of tiny he-men wearing masks around their face in order to observe COVID-19 guidelines, of course. This being a club on May 31st. Maybe it had just reopened. Maybe it had just reinstated a mask requirement. Either way, these tiny he-men, which are very strong to be able to lift DJ, are doing their part to stop the spread of COVID-19.
I've prayed to Morgan Freeman.
So that's Morgan Freeman, who's commonly depicted as God in some media, as we can see here, and he has the rays shooting off of him, as is described in the Bible of the book of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
It's snowing now, I'm glowing. Orphan Tears, man, I must be dreaming.
It's left intentionally vague whether Morgan Freeman, the He-Man, and the other things in that verse are real or in fact a hallucination brought about by the Orphan Tears. Now, this type of storytelling is not unfamiliar to Ray, the genius behind the Equals 3 show, and such works of art as Tiggle Bitties. But it's left for the audience to muse, to ponder, and to interpret. We have someone new singing the refrain, Stevie the Demon, depicted here as a demon.
Cool.
Whoopsies. Stevie the Demon has a Billie Eilish quality to her that adds an extra layer to this song that had
one shot, two shot, three shot, four of them into my body go the tears of an orphan. My brain releases endorphins. Look around.
Now here's Wax, who had appeared in a few Ray William Johnson properties, but is most notable for his cameos in epic rap battles of history. So here's Wax on this song for the first time.
The cocktail waitress became a yellow aardvark with braces. We followed her to a faraway place in which it was dark and there were dozens of cages. Little cartoon pigs inside them. I was laughing, taking pictures by them. Look closer, the pigs were crying. What in God's name is this signifying? In a daze, all of us were...
So let's unpack that for a bit. The pigs are crying, and the pigs are in cages. Now, a caged animal can represent a number of things. A tortured human soul, restrictive societal standards. But look at these pigs. Look at them. They have a certain human-like quality that perhaps represents a human in a literal cage, human trafficking, any number of atrocities that would would put someone in a situation like that. But I would definitely like to hear in chat, and I'll read them off in a bit, what you think these pigs represent, because honestly, it could really be a number of things.
Pictures by him. Look closer, the pigs were crying. What in God's name is this signifying? In a daze, all of us were lost. Hours passed and the drugs wore off. Wait, we're in a warehouse building. Those aren't pigs, those are actually...
Okay, well, I guess that question was answered pretty quickly. If you said they were orphans, you were correct. But nonetheless, let's look in chat. I want to smash Wax's phone. Okay. So chat hasn't been very helpful, but we will press through.
Little children?
I like his character design. She's changed the refrain a little bit from the last verse, just tweaking it a bit, going a bit higher on some of the notes. If you listen on near and far, can hear it. Or there, that also works. So it appears that in this, and I'll go back to here, it's the most replayed spot for a reason, as there's the old character design for your favorite Martian. Look at that. I know this is chock full of Easter eggs and little moments that you may have missed, but this is the one it looks like a lot of people have gone back to. As you can see, it's the most replayed part of the video. And that is what he used to look like. Now, whether the new design is an improvement or not is in the eye of the beholder. But honestly, if I were to give my thoughts, which I will, I think a lot of people are attached to this old design for nostalgic reasons. And you see that a lot in works of fiction whenever there's a redesign. Or perhaps even in real life. Think of the Burger King logo. You might hate the new Burger King logo. You might be attached to the old Burger King logo. But is that because it's actually better, or because you used to go to Burger King a lot as a kid? Same with Subway. Same with the Milwaukee Brewers. Same with the Philadelphia Eagles wordmark, which was just changed yesterday. Now, I am by no means a Philadelphia Eagles fan, but if you were to ask someone like EDP445 what he thought about the new wordmark, he might not be very fond of it. But enough about EDP445. Let's continue. So here we have, I'd like to pause on this specifically, a bunch of glowing men, small men, tying down our friend here. I believe this is Wax. Maybe. So what do these green men represent? Well, given that they are the same color and hue and tone of light as the Orphan Tears itself, which by the way has been recolored green in this re-release, I believe they are the product of hallucination, and perhaps maybe Wax tied himself down, or maybe he was tied down by Ray or Stevie. It's possible, because it's definitely not these guys, because as far as I know, they don't exist.
We had found a bunch of kids working in a sweatshop, and they would cry into mason jars and bottle it up. We gotta help them out.
Now, this is actually a pretty layered metaphor. Kids in sweatshops, and their product is tears. If you look at the modern day sweatshops that exist in, say, China, Taiwan, Bangladesh, or Pakistan. The product is not orphan tears itself, but oftentimes you have orphans making a product through blood, sweat, and tears. So this metaphor has the tears itself be the product being exported to the West. Ray is an American. He lives in LA, probably partakes in many sweatshop products, such as the computer I'm live streaming on, the clock next to me, my phone, any number of things that aren't themselves made literally of orphan tears, but are made by and through orphan tears.
Here, I'm not an engineer, but I think these orphan tears are made from actual orphans' tears. Suddenly, Bill Cosby appeared.
Okay, that's an interesting line. I think these orphans' tears are made from actual orphans' tears. Think about when you buy, a shirt from a department store, and you don't really care where it comes from. It's a shirt. It's a pretty maybe cheaply made, but you look on the tag. It says made in Taiwan, and you say, "Huh." Maybe you disregard it at first, but maybe later you realize this was probably made with sweatshop labor. This was made with orphan tears. So if you listen to that line again, but imagine Ray holding an iPhone or something.
Orphans' tears. Suddenly, Bill Cosby appeared. Actual orphans' tears. These orphan tears are made from actual orphans' tears. Suddenly,
The realization that, well, I should have known this the whole time. It's orphan tears, but you're thinking this orphan tears actually went into this. You start thinking of the tears that went into making it instead of just being focused on the product itself. So many times as Americans, we in the West, we get the product from overseas and we don't think of it anything more as a product. But what Ray here is telling us to do is to look a little deeper into that. Where did it come from? Who made it? What is actually in this? And you realize, pretty obviously that it's worker exploitation, sometimes of children. This part will be fun to analyze.
Bill Cosby appeared in the doorway right behind me. Hello. He was 10 feet tall in a top hat, ready.
So this is the same character model used in the last Orphan Tears, when it was speculated that Ray had predicted, Bill Cosby's fall from grace, we'll say. But I've got to assume that the real truth is even more sinister, that these allegations were out, that the rumors were out in Hollywood where Ray lived, and nobody cared at the time until Cosby's eventual indictment. So while you could say, oh, Ray predicted this, Ray saw it was going to happen, maybe he already knew. Maybe a lot of people already knew. I think that's what the case is. You can feel free to tell me in chat. It's not a, what goes on in Hollywood is not easy to reckon with.
To fight me in his whitey tighties. Pretty sure Bill's in charge of the place because he swolled up looking like a grizzly bear. That bloodsucker looked us dead in the face. These children aren't going anywhere.
So that was his impression of that celebrity. I don't know if it's that good. He's done better, but he's really committed to it because it's the entire ending of this song. So, and the story continues in part 3. Let's briefly touch base with chat, see how we're doing, make sure this stream is still on. I don't like most the Axel. He looks like a whole new guy, but with the same clothes. To everyone telling me to review Dookie Fresh, I'm not going to do that. I already did that on a different stream. I will gladly go my entire life without ever watching that again.
Sipping on, sipping on, sipping on Orphan Tears.
The story continues real oddly. I'm staring at Bill Cosby. What the?
So we start with Wax here, which is an interesting choice. I don't know how many equals 3 songs we've had so far that start with with a cameo appearance with him, basically giving the intro to the song. But in a way, this serves as a recap for the last part for those who may have missed it.
Thinking that we'll probably have to attempt to kill Cosby. I was scared and my legs were wobbling, but I knew that we had to stop him. I could hear the orphan sobbing. My morals made me confident. I screamed out, "Get him, y'all!" and the place turned into a...
You can count on Wax to have that creative wordplay. We listen to this here.
My legs were wobbling, but I knew that we had to stop him.
Listen to the
I could hear
internal
the
rhyming
Bill
scheme
Cosby.
here.
Thinking that we'll probably have to attempt to kill Cosby. I was scared.
That's Kanye flow.
I'm staring at Bill Cosby. Thinking that we'll probably have to attempt to kill Cosby. I was scared and my legs were wobbling, but I knew that we had to stop him. I could hear the orphan sobbing. My morals made me confident. I screamed out, "Get him, y'all!" and the place turned into a freaking brawl. A lot of kung fu punches.
As we learned from Sondheim, well, he was maybe a little more internally consistent with the rhyming. Well, the words don't have to rhyme exactly, as long as the flow is similar enough. Like Wobbly and Cosby don't rhyme, but the way they're, integrated into the verse makes it really seem like they flow together. It's 11:11 Eastern time. Make a wish. I wish I was doing
kicks and ball to the legs, to the body, to the lips and jaw. It was a really good fight we were putting up, but Bill Cosby just wouldn't budge. He kept eating them pudding cups. It was hard to beat him. He was super tough. Punch after punch, he just kept on clocking.
So I don't think I need to explain the pudding thing. Let's just move on.
Me while he was doing it, he was doing comedy. It was pretty funny, honestly. I hate to admit that I snapped out of it when he used his...
Okay. This is very interesting. So we have this monster, literal
while
monster,
he was doing it, he was doing comedy.
distracting our heroes by doing comedy. When does that happen? When has a predator, a maligned, vicious monster ever distracted the public by continuing to do comedy? I will let you fill that in yourself. Maybe Cosby himself at some points had tried to obfuscate away from his allegations by continuing to do comedy. It happens a lot. If you look at any entertainer who's in hot water, and then they'll try to distract in one way or another.
Funny, honestly, I hate to admit that I snapped out of it when he used his sweater as a makeshift whip. Hit me in the legs and he made me trip,
So
man. We were getting our
sweater.
asses kicked, and that wasn't even the last of it. Cosby snapped his fingers and he screamed out, "Robots!" Soon we were surrounded by some, you guessed it, robots. But these...
So the inclusion of robots is an ambitious choice, but I'm glad he made it. I support ambitious choices being made in this context especially.
These weren't normal robots that we saw standing before us. They were all pure evil and they looked just like Chuck Norris. Got him!
So as we have the Spanish flag in the background, Chuck Norris is a joke. Chuck Norris as a joke has not been used in many years, a decade or more perhaps. But it's being brought back here, I think, to reference the fact that Your Favorite Martian itself is kind of an antiquated meme from perhaps, the early 2010s, right? And we're bringing back some early 2010s memes along with that. I support that. Let's get some cat memes. Maybe some equals 3 in jokes. I would appreciate that as a lifelong fan of equals 3 and Ray William Johnson. So here we have Ray kind of talking the refrain here instead of Stevie. And it's got a very electronic tone. I think it fits well within this context of fighting robots. which, by the way, is a reference to another one of your favorite Martian songs, of course, Robot Bar Fight, a personal favorite of mine.
Children near and far don't know where your parents are. Cry directly in this jar.
So they appear to be getting beaten pretty badly. Oh, that's amazing. So Ray starts the refrain, and then as it gets into a more legato part, Stevie takes over, and we have the same animation loop as part 2. It's a choice to distinguish this from part 2 and of course part 1.
I got a lot of robot chucks all around me, and I'm sitting there getting my ass kicked. Then I thought about what Bill Cosby said in a flashback of our last trip. He said, "Hello with the pudding. Hey, the pudding cups may be key." Yeah.
So we start this verse with an almost a cappella rap from Ray, which I know he likes. If you remember Alien Unplugged, that was almost a cappella at times from Ray with very, very light piano accompaniment. I think he definitely enjoys doing that, or rapping a little softer without as much techno beat in the background. Most of this is techno inspired. Most of, your favorite Martian, there's definitely heavy Daft Punk influence, which I covered extensively in my last live stream. If you have any questions about that, clips of it are up on the channel. And then this is taken directly from Orphan Tears Part 1, even with the same voice line, so that's cool.
Said, "Hello with the pudding. Hey, the pudding cups may be key. That's what gives him super strength. What if it does the same to me?" So I looked around till I found some, and I grabbed a cup and I downed some, and I thought to myself, man,
found some, downed some. He's hitting those, the way he says. I know I've referenced Kanye before, but listen to how he says downed some. I hear the influence.
I grabbed a cup and I downed some, and I thought to myself, man, how dumb, till I grew the size of a mountain.
Right.
Got buff and changed
I can't
a
be
bunch
the
now,
only one who
all
hears
tough
that.
and dangerous. So I turned to the whole gang of chucks and said, "Yo, Texas Ranger sucks." I was just distracting them while my friend.
Texas Rangers are also a baseball team. So, excuse me for reading too far into this, but I think Ray becoming giant here to fight Bill could be a metaphor for when you move to Hollywood, you don't change the town changes you. It doesn't matter how much of an innocent, good meaning person you are going in, you're going to end up, in order to even do a little bit of good, as Ray is trying to do here, you'll have to end up taking on the personality of the town, in this case, becoming a monster to fight a monster.
All tough and dangerous, so I turned to the whole gang of chucks and said, "Yo, Texas Ranger sucks." I was just
and he does
distracting.
this by eating the pudding, which can be interpreted as drinking the proverbial Kool-Aid for you cult fanatics out there.
While my friends Hulk out too. Pretty soon thereafter we were tearing through those ground troops, and circuits were flying and robots getting laid out. I hit one so hard he runs on Windows 98 now.
This is a new style, kind of extending the chorus, making it more of a song here than a rap.
Those ground troops and circuits were flying and robots getting laid out. I hit and robots getting circuits were
so we have a battery, a nut, a hand, a screw, circuit board, and
flying and robots getting laid out. I hit one so hard he runs on Windows 98 now.
So he runs on Windows 98. That's a reference to Chuck Norris being an old man and an old meme. So Windows 98 would
Since we're so
be running
friggin'
that.
large, Cosby ran, but we hit him hard. Probably tell you it hurts, cause we beat him up like a rental car. We
Beat him
set
up
the
like a rental
children
car.
free from the predator. Before we left, we took the cash out the register.
So there is definitely a notable change in flow right here.
Car. We set the children free from the predator.
This is
Before we
new.
left, we took the cash cash out the register.
That's an excellent bridge right there. You don't really hear that a lot in old Your Favorite Martian, so that could be an indicator of more creative stylings to come, longer hooks, maybe an increased singing ability from Ray, which makes sense, honestly. I know he had a passion for singing, and perhaps honed his skills during his hiatus. So expect more of that, definitely. One more refrain from Stevie. As we hit the 3-minute mark, the orphans are freed. And as the screen goes black, there's an apparent resolution. I don't think there will be any more parts to this. The trilogy is concluded. Maybe we'll get some prequels. Maybe. Oh, Mitro says in part 1 they said that everybody in the club looked like Chuck Norris. So there you go. There's the Easter egg there. The robots are Chuck Norris because everyone looked like Chuck Norris. And what I said I think also reigns true. So thank you so much for watching this Saturday morning stream. It will be uploaded to the channel in a little bit. Oh. So you guys can re-watch this whenever you want. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Joey as always. And you have just been Joey.